guys, rachaelcpr here. Today I just wanted to do a really quick video and talk to you about trimming and detoxing your hair. A lot of the times people come into me and they will, well, sometimes it's when I haven't seen them in a little while. I'm a hairstylist. I work with curly hair, for those of you who don't know. But sometimes people will come in and they'll say, I don't know what's wrong with my hair. It's not acting right. I'm using the same things. I'm switching up. I'm co-washing the way I should, and they don't know what's wrong with their hair. It's not even an issue. Everybody goes through this. I tell all of my clients, for myself, for my daughter, everything. Whenever my hair is acting up, if my daughter's hair is not doing what it's supposed to do, there's usually one of two things that are wrong. And that is, number one, you have a buildup of product on your hair, which means you need to detox, which is going to make it so that your hair accepts all of the wonderful products that you use in your hair on a regular basis much better. And it's going to make your curls fluffy, round, and beautiful. So detoxing is a thing that I usually tell people, start off with a detox. If your hair is just not acting right, or it's just not laying in a way that normally you have your hair acting a certain way, looking a certain way, try a detox. For detoxing, I generally use apple cider vinegar, the organic apple cider vinegar, and I just do a quick brush through my hair in the shower, and I'll just make sure I get my scalp and just let it go through my hair. Or you can use some type of a clay, like bentonite clay, rachael clay. All of those things will give you a nice detox. And then you'll notice that your hair is acting very differently. Another thing that would be a factor in your hair not acting right is if your hair needs to be trimmed. If you're getting fairy knots, if you are getting just like clumps of hair at the ends of your hair that are just not acting right, that is a dead giveaway that you need a trim, because fairy knots are actually knotted hair, single strand knotted hairs, because the hairs at the end split into two and they curl into each other. So those are a definite sign that you need a trim. The best thing and best way to keep up with these things is to keep a hair journal. Get a hair journal where you are recording all of your trims, all of your detoxing, and you will never have to worry whether or not you are, is it time for a trim, is it time for a detox? Because what you do the first few times that you do it is you, like let's say you're detoxing. If you can go a month without detoxing your hair, you record when you start to see the change in your hair, and so you know, okay, after a month, if I'm doing this regular routine, I know it's time for me to detox. And then you can catch it a little bit before the curve so that you can actually just get rid of the problem before it even becomes a problem, which is really, really good, because then you never have that bad hair day that everyone wants to stay away from. So, and it's the same thing with the trim. In general, a good rule of thumb is to get a trim every 3 months. If your hair is growing about a ½ inch a month, you at the end of 3 months have 1.5 inches of hair. You should be cutting off about 1/4 inch, which means that you will definitely be able to retain a lot of your length, but then getting rid of the bad ends and oxygenating your hair, because you definitely want the oxygen to be able to get up the hair shaft. But if the end's are frayed, it can't happen. And a lot of people will say, well, I don't want my hair trimmed because then it won't grow out. But in reality, if you do not cut your ends off and keep the ends nice and healthy, you're losing the hair anyway. You're just not losing it in a healthy way. When you are going through your hair, detangling, you are going to see little pieces of hair on your hands. When you're going to sleep in your bonnet, on your pillowcase, you are going to see small pieces of hair. If you use tools to get rid of the tangles in your hair, like brushes and combs, you'll see the ends there. But little pieces of ends are not good. Long strands of hair is your natural shedding process, but small pieces of hair are definitely not good. Whereas if you were to keep a regular system of trimming your hair, you won't have that happen, which is the much better way to do it. Because when your hair breaks off just by, okay, it's dead, it's damaged, and it breaks off, it doesn't do a clean break. It breaks off ready to split again. So that's when you don't retain your hair length, because it just keeps going up and up and up and up, because you're not keeping the ends healthy. And so the ends shed and they're ready to split again. The other thing with the fairy knots, I find that a lot of people, like once I was sitting at the DMV and I saw a woman with natural hair, and she was just sitting and she was just pulling off the ends of her hair, and I was like cringing. It's like, okay, you're just going to have a million more of those knots, because once you pull the hair off, again, it doesn't do a clean break, which means it just starts to split all over again because you're snapping it off just by a pull instead of a nice fine shear that cuts it off nice and even, and it kind of seals the ends and makes it ready for another day of healthy growing. So I hope these tips help, and of course leave your tips below, your comments below, sorry, tips too, but leave your comments below, any questions that you have. I just recently started homeschooling my children, and so I have a channel for that as well, where it's more of not necessarily homeschooling as much as I'm sharing my journey on homeschooling my children. So it's more of a vlog than it is teaching homeschooling, because there's so many women on YouTube who actually have so much experience, like years of experience with homeschooling, but my vlog is more about just keeping my sanity as I'm homeschooling. So that is pretty much what I have been doing. So I am trying my best. I've been neglecting my hair channel a little bit, but I'm sorry. So we're going to try to be more regular here and just go from there. So again, thank you so much for tuning in.